We live in a world that runs with a very unfair system, such that if you do not follow the rules and regulations of the system, you will be pushed aside. Leverage is anything that takes you a step ahead from a regular person. So for instance, myself and you, let's assume we are both going to Abuja all the way from Lagos. And then one person decides to go through the road, the other person decides to leverage, use their money to use the plane. First, one thing leverage will do is save you time. Because how long would it take you if you're flying? How long will it take you compared to being on the road from Lagos to Abuja? 2, it saves you effort. 3, even though you're spending more money, it helps you to be in a saner environment that helps you make more money and perform effectively. For instance, if me and you need to be in the same place, at the same time, there's a high probability of me getting there and be more collected than the person who used the road. Why? Just because of leverage. So, a number of us are already at a disadvantage, not because we do not have the money, but because we do not know the right people. Or it could also be that maybe it's the certificates that we own that do not give us that leverage. Maybe the certificates we own are limited to a specific line. So what can we do to give ourselves leverage such that even though we have a disadvantage, we can use that to our advantage? I want to give us 5 key steps on how to turn your disadvantage into an advantage. 1, let's still look at the Abuja trip. So the man who is going to Abuja and books a flight definitely will get there before you, who is using the road. Let's assume that you have enough time to plan, right? The first thing that you want to know is focus on your goal. What goal are you trying to achieve? If the goal you're trying to achieve is traveling to Abuja, identify that, that is what you want to achieve, right? If the goal that you have to achieve is working on your portfolio, identify that is it. If the goal is working on your CV such that your CV compounds, and when people look at your CV, they favor you, just know that that's what you want to do. Identify what you want to focus on. The second thing that you will do is that you make your own research. Make your own research. What do you need to do such that even though it's a disadvantage, you are able to position it as an advantage, right? So you've already come to know that you need to get there such that you have enough time to appear collected. The third thing that you need to do now is to plan it out and create a budget for it. So you cannot afford to take a plane at that point. That's fine. Create a budget. If I'm to use a car, can I go a day or 2 days before then? Create plans, budget for an hotel, budget for extra feeding, budget for everything, such that when you appear, you are still looking calm and collected for the meeting, for whatever it is that you are using. All right. So you've budgeted, you've planned, you've done everything. Now, the next step is to shoot. You've prepared for this. You have budgeted for this. Go on your way to Abuja. Plan, execute your plan. Get there, rest, and perform the best way that you can. Right? This last step is just to believe in yourself and realize that no disadvantage is really a disadvantage unless you leave it as that. If you do not look beyond what it can become, if you do not look at it as, okay, how can I turn this disadvantage to a leverage? How can I leverage on my disadvantage? You will just make it a disadvantage. But if you find a way to make it more like an advantage, such that you get there early and you're able to prepare and put yourself together in a way that when you are having to present or have your meeting, nothing is interrupted. You realize that, it's actually not so bad at the end of the day. Even though I do not have the money for a plane, I'm able to invest my money in getting myself an hotel room for 2 days and maybe calculate feeding so that I can perform better. Are you able to use the plane? No. However, are you able to appear in the meeting looking collected and looking responsible without looking like you're running mad? Without anybody necessarily knowing that you just shouted at the driver for taking your time or anything like that? No, because you've already given yourself enough room to perform. Now, this is not only based on trips, this is based on every other thing. I just use that as an example because sometimes you might find out that you're at a disadvantage, but don't stop at that. Look at how you can add to your disadvantage leverage, right? Does that make sense? And never ever forget that as Christians especially, our greatest advantage is God. So make use of your greatest advantage, even though you feel disadvantaged, that's fine, but make sure that you leverage on your greatest advantage, regardless of your qualifications, regardless of your journey, regardless of what you have or do not have, regardless of what you think that what you think that you should have. Just realize that and focus that God is our greatest advantage. Thank you guys, and do have a wonderful week. Bye bye.